All right, so this the one I wanted to see, because I'm watching One Piece now. Like I'm on like episode 35, I think. So, but I don't mind spoiling myself with One Piece. Like I'm a sucker for like anime lore and stories. Like that's what I'm good at.
And everybody, too spooky here. When it comes to the One Piece universe, the thing I've always been most knowledgeable about has been
Yeah.
many different devil fruits and how they
Hey
operate.
TT Moose, if you join the Discord and put a link to those videos in the suggestion tab, then I'll react to it.
Devil fruits individually and really analyze what each fruit is capable of and how they work. But before we can get to them individually, I figured it would be a good idea to go over devil fruits as a whole. Everything from the different categories and subcategories, weaknesses, and other information surrounding the fruits in general. This way everyone can be refreshed on the information and maybe even learn something that you didn't know before. So in today's video, we are going to be explaining devil fruits. To begin, we're going to be quickly touching upon what little we know about the origins of devil fruits. As far as where devil fruits came from, we have yet to learn anything.
Hey, I was just asking myself that in my head.
Aside from Shanks mentioning that devil fruits supposedly came from the sea devil. In the beginning of One Piece, it was insinuated that devil fruits are very rare. So rare in fact that most people think of them as a myth until they see the devil fruit powers with their own eyes. This would of course drastically change later on when we are seeing new devil fruits left and right, but this shows us that the vast majority of devil fruits exist within the Grand Line and New World, rather than in the different blues. Even though there seems to be an endless amount of devil fruits at this point, we still see examples of people not knowing they exist even in the New World. For instance, Shirahoshi had no clue of their existence. The people in Wano believe that the powers received from them are merely sorcery, and the women of Amazon Lily didn't know of their existence either. Appearance-wise, the devil fruits come in many different shapes and sizes, similar to normal fruit.
Right.
The easiest way to tell them apart from normal fruit would be that they are generally a different color and have a swirly pattern all over.
Yeah.
When eaten, these fruits apparently taste god-awful, but shortly after consumption, the user will learn what abilities the fruit contained, along with its name. Contrary to popular belief, you don't need to consume the whole fruit to gain its abilities. Instead, only one bite is required for the powers to transfer to the individual who took the bite.
Wow.
It's not possible for multiple people to
I was just thinking that.
the fruit to gain the same abilities. Instead, after the first bite, the fruit just becomes a normal, horrible tasting fruit. In addition to that, it is possible for a devil fruit to exist more than once.
Right.
But never at the same time. When a person eats a devil fruit and obtains its power, that power will not exist anywhere else in the world until the current user dies. When they do eventually die, the devil fruit power will then be reborn into a new devil fruit of the
kind of like a Jinchuriki,
where it can then be discovered by a different person and consumed, repeating the endless cycle.
So devil fruits are like Jinchurikis, you know. So just like on Boruto, spoiler alert, but just like on Boruto manga,
because many of the devil fruits have existed multiple times in the past, a lot of them have been documented into a book called the Devil Fruit Encyclopedia. We don't know much about the book itself because it has only been shown or mentioned a small handful of times, but we do know that the vast majority of devil fruits and their abilities can be found within the pages. However, most of them do not have an illustration to accompany the ability, so it's hard to identify the fruit before eating it. We also don't know how common this book is throughout the One Piece world, but we do know there is at least more than one copy. So I'm willing to bet this book is about as rare as finding a devil fruit itself. Before we move on, I should also mention that it's possible for inanimate objects to somehow consume a devil fruit and its abilities as well. The method was discovered by Vegapunk, but details of how this is possible have never been mentioned.
All right, I'm very curious about the category. So he just gave us the lore.
Its classification can fall under 3 different categories:
Zoan,
Logia, or Paramecia. Zoans are devil fruits.
All right, so I was thinking about in my last video why you should read One Piece. It was made by Super Eye Patch Wolf. I was thinking that One Piece is kind of like an RPG, and like what would be like, how would I categorize the devil fruits in an RPG? Because One Piece has the the seeds that could be a very, very good MMO. If they did it right, they can make a One Piece MMO that could probably trump all MMOs if they did it right. But I wanted to learn more about the devil fruit just in case, you know, if I did a video about, you know, job abilities and stuff like that, a class, like, you know, like you said, I mean, that would be bonkers.
That grant the user the ability to transform into some sort of animal or creature. The majority of Zoans have 3 different transformations, which are the human form, which is the individual's original form, the human beast form, which is where the user transforms into a mixture of both the original form and the fruit's respective animal, and then the beast form, which is where the user completely transforms into their respective animal or creature. It is possible for other transformations to be achieved through training or through outside sources, such as Chopper's Rumble Ball, but the average Zoan user only has the 3 that we just listed.
Right.
The main strength of Zoan-type devil fruits is a significant physical strength boost, along with enhanced senses and any specific abilities granted from the specific animal or creature. Zoans don't exactly have any specific weaknesses, but they are generally considered the weakest of the 3 categories.
Wow.
Mainly because the majority of them rely on brute strength, and their strength is
Makes
determined
sense.
specifically on the strength of the animal or creature the fruit is representing.
So if
you gained the strength of, let's say, a wiener dog, you wouldn't exactly be
Heck nah, bro. Hey, if I got a strength of a wiener dog, bro, I just delete myself off the grand line in One Piece, bro. I wouldn't be trying to rule nothing. Imagine walking up to Big Mom, wiener dog. Where the treasure? Where the treasure?
Achieved on a fruit-to-fruit basis, so a lot of them are specific to each individual user. But it's also possible to gain extra abilities depending on the animal in question. For instance, if the animal is some sort of bird, the user would also gain the additional ability to fly. I should also mention that if an animal were to eat a Zoan fruit containing the abilities of the exact same species, it would give that animal absolutely no new abilities, but all the weaknesses of having a devil fruit power. So this category also comes with a small risk.
Yeah.
Because a human Zoan devil fruit does exist, which was eaten by Chopper, so if a normal human person were to have eaten that fruit before Chopper came across it, they would have gained a grand total of 0 abilities, but all the normal devil fruit weaknesses.
Right.
Logia are devil fruits that grant the user the ability to create, control, and transform into a specific element or force of nature. Depending on the element or force in question, the user is also granted numerous other abilities and techniques surrounding the existing properties of that element or force. Because Logia users are able to transform into their element, they become intangible in the process and can therefore easily avoid most attacks. Hockey attacks are the only way.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, Logias are the best.
Their natural weaknesses, but we'll touch upon those a little bit later.
Hey man, you can't go into that now and then switch up.
Though, however, pretty much all of them can. Logia devil fruits are also considered the rarest of the 3 devil fruit categories.
Yeah, because they.
Finally, onto Paramecia. Paramecia devil fruits are a bit harder to outright explain or classify, but basically anything that is not already considered a Logia or Zoan is considered Paramecia by default. Most Paramecia devil fruits grant some sort of superhuman ability or power, such as body modification, changes to the surrounding environment, producing a substance, or some other transformations that are not considered Zoan. One thing I want to add before we move on to subcategories is that some of the Paramecia devil fruits are very, very similar to some of the Logia devil fruits, which confuses quite a few people when it comes to certain fruits classifications. I actually made a whole video discussing the difference between Logia and Paramecia a little while back and how to tell the difference between the two. I highly suggest you go give it a watch.
I might
after
watch
this
that.
video is over to better understand the difference and why certain fruits are classified the way they are. There will be a link in the description, otherwise feel free to give it a watch now and come back to this video afterwards.
Right. Alright, so what are the subcategories?
See any subcategories in the Logia category, so we'll move right to Paramecia. The only subcategory for Paramecia that we know of right now is known as a special Paramecia. So far, we've only seen one devil fruit that
very similar to Logia, but Logia can fully transform.
Now, we don't have an exact definition or explanation of what makes a special Paramecia in the first place, but it should be known that this particular fruit was originally labeled as a Logia until its classification was changed in the volume release of the same chapter that it was named.
Wow.
From what I was able to deduce, a special Paramecia has almost all the same characteristics as a Logia. The user can transform their body into their respective substance, and they can create and control the substance outside of their body. The only two differences from a Logia,
so it's pretty much like a Kekkei Genkai. Like if you're a water type of Kekkei Genkai, you control all water
the substance in question
around you.
is not an element or force of nature. I talk a little bit more about special Paramecias and how they could potentially operate.
Okay, bro, we got you. You know what I'm saying? You want people to check out the video. Okay, you got my attention.
For more potential information on this particular subcategory. Now, Zoans have by far the most subcategories, so we'll go through these one at a time. The first we came across in the series is known as a carnivorous Zoan. Now, carnivorous Zoans aren't much different from a regular Zoan, but what sets them apart from the latter would be that carnivorous Zoans are generally animals that are naturally more predatory by nature, which makes them more dangerous and powerful in different aspects of combat. These animals in particular,
so kind of like that shark dude I'm watching right now.
Such as very sharp
I forgot his name.
Claws. Two examples of a carnivorous Zoan would be the Inu Inu no Mi, model wolf, and the Neku Neku no Mi, model leopard, both of which are natural predators and bloodthirsty by nature. This bloodthirsty nature also generally carries over to the user themselves in battle, making them a force you don't want to mess with. The second Zoan subcategory is known as an ancient Zoan. Ancient Zoans are a much rarer Zoan type that allows the user to transform into extinct or prehistoric animals. We've only seen two examples of these so far, which are the Zozo no Mi, modeled mammoth, and X Drake's unnamed ancient Zoan that allows him to transform into some sort of dinosaur. Naturally, as
he doesn't?
A mammoth and a dinosaur, ancient Zoans are physically much
You know who I'm talking about then, don't you?
Zoan fruit. Like carnivorous Zoans, the ancient Zoans are also equipped with natural weapons like the huge tusks on the mammoth or very sharp claws and teeth on the dinosaur. At this given time, not much else is known about this category other than the fact that the animals in question can cause significantly more damage than normal Zoans and carnivorous.
I was just thinking that, but
the category is known as a mythical Zoan. Mythical Zoans are a much rarer Zoan type. In fact, mythical Zoans are considered the rarest type of devil fruit in the series. Mythical Zoans allow the user to transform into what can only be described as creatures found in myths and legends. The only two examples we've seen so far is the Hito Hito no Mi, model Daibutsu, and Marco's unnamed mythical Zoan.
Turned into a mystical Pokemon over there.
Phoenix. What's most unique about this category is that in addition to gaining that strength boost that every Zoan receives, the mythical Zoans also gain different abilities that make them seem like a Paramecia or even a Logia fruit as well. In fact, Marco's
so they just unique subcategories.
Paramecia and Logia all in one, making it what I believe is the most versatile devil fruit in the series to date. We'll probably talk about these two fruits in separate videos later on down the line, but regardless, mythical Zoans are essentially legends brought to life.
That's what it sounds like to me. Like that's what it sounds like to me. Like those mythical Zoans are like rare, kind of like rare species, like rare Pokemon. The powers just seems so far beyond what the regulars would be. I wouldn't even call the mythical Zoans a subcategory. I'll call it like an alpha category, and then everything after that is subcategory. You know what I'm saying? But that's just me.
More or less in a category of its own, which is the artificial Zoan.
Artificial
Like we said
Zoan.
earlier, Vegapunk found a way for inanimate objects to consume a devil fruit. Well, in addition to that, Vegapunk has also done numerous other experiments involving devil fruits, and in the process of all those experiments, he came up with a way to replicate a devil fruit. but apparently it was rather flawed. Caesar Clown then did his own research and was able to replicate his
You
own
see what I mean?
artificial devil fruits called smiles, which are the artificial zoans. These artificial zoan fruits are flawed in their own way, but also grants the consumer zoan-like abilities. The thing that puts artificial zoans aside from the regular ones would be the fact that artificial zoans only allow the user to partially transform into an animal rather than completely, such as being able to only transform the user's hands into bear claws, rather than the rest of his body also transforming into a bear and things like that. Every consumer of an artificial zoan also grows black horns for whatever reason. We currently don't know if these artificial zoans
I hope that be explained. Maybe that's because
devil fruit, but we do know that they are said to come with unknown side effects due
Right.
to the fact they are artificial.
Right.
Now that we know all of the different categories, it's only natural to touch upon the weaknesses that every devil fruit user is susceptible to. The main weakness is essentially the sea itself, because once an individual consumes a devil fruit, they will no longer be able to swim or submerge themselves in water of any kind. If the devil fruit user were to attempt to swim, their body would become completely helpless in one way or another, such as sinking right to the bottom. Although it's very broad, there are a few different specifics surrounding.
It's funny because Luffy is already, in the episodes that I've watched so far, like Luffy has already had to be saved like 2 or 3 times just from being underwater.
This weakness, however. For instance, the user will not be affected by moving water, and instead only water that is still. So water such as rain or waves will have no effect on the user. It's also possible for the user to submerge themselves underwater so long as their body is not touching the water. So if the user were to be wearing, let's say, scuba gear that covered their entire body, it would be possible for them to swim underwater without becoming helpless and drowning.
Right.
The user will also be unaffected by very small bodies of water. This weakening effect only occurs once the user is knee-deep in water. So if the water barely covers their feet, for instance, they will remain completely unaffected. Once the user is in this weakened state, they will be completely unable to use their devil fruit abilities. However, if the user's body was permanently changed from the ability in question, it can still be manipulated by others, such as when Luffy was completely submerged underwater by Arlong, but other individuals were still able to stretch his neck above the water so that he could breathe. It should also be noted that fishmen have the ability to breathe underwater, so if a fishman were to eat a devil fruit, they would also lose their ability to swim.
Wow.
If they fell in the water, they
So
wouldn't
you lose your
drown,
natural
they'd just be
abilities
sitting
too.
at the bottom of the sea, unable to move, and consequently not dying instantly because they can still breathe just fine. If nobody came for them, they'd just, eventually starve. So either way, a devil fruit user's biggest weakness is the sea itself, especially since the majority of devil fruit users are pirates or marines that are sailing the seas, so a risk of falling in the sea and drowning is always lingering. The next big devil fruit weakness is a mineral, which is known as sea stone. This mineral apparently emits the same energy as the sea, and therefore whenever it is in direct contact with a devil fruit user, the user will fall under the same type of helplessness as if they were submerged under the sea itself. The only difference is that the amount of sea stone in contact with the user does make a difference. For instance, the Marines developed special sets of sea stone handcuffs that will weaken a devil fruit user and nullify their abilities.
Kind of like
but
kryptonite,
the user will
then.
still be able to walk along with other physical movements, so they aren't completely paralyzed as if they were under the sea. Being completely surrounded by sea stone will also generally weaken the devil fruit user, even if they aren't directly touching it. The sea stone can also be formed into different
Pretty much
such as
kryptonite.
a spear or even bullets. The bullets are technically not canon, but personally I feel like it could be possible, and I also feel this would be the most dangerous example of sea stone to date, as it could easily kill a devil fruit user of any kind. The other devil fruit weaknesses are a case-by-case basis, involving natural weakness and superiorities. Natural weaknesses are pretty straightforward. You see, a natural weakness to a different fruit is based on the makeup of the two abilities, such as fire being naturally weak to water, or snow being naturally weak to heat. As far as how superiorities go, some devil fruits have abilities that are strikingly similar, like they're almost the exact same fruit.
Right.
But either by nature or simply by the abilities, the devil fruit in question is superior to a different devil fruit, such as the Tun Tun no Mi being vastly superior to the Kilo Kilo no Mi. Both of them are essentially the same ability of weight manipulation, but the Tun Tun no Mi can become much heavier than the Kilo Kilo no Mi, making it the superior of the two.
I like her dress. Her dress was a kiwi. It was called Kilo Kilo, but it is, he dressed like a kiwi.
Magma is listed as a higher order than fire, which is why Sakazuki was able to overpower Ace's fire abilities with his magma abilities. You could argue that fire
magma
is naturally stronger than magma, but in One Piece that
No.
just isn't the case, and
No,
magma is
I would
instead
say
superior to fire.
magma is stronger than fire, and even naturally.
Is technically considered a devil fruit weakness, as this haki allows someone to bypass natural devil fruit defenses for a head-on attack. But haki is a topic for another video, so I'm not going to go any further with it today. In some very rare cases, it's possible for devil fruit users to awaken their devil fruit, which further increases the
Awaken?
abilities of the
Like a
user
Bankai?
in some way. And from what we've seen, this increase is fairly drastic.
So that explains gear.
More in a future video, since at the moment we don't know a whole lot about it right now. For instance, we currently have no idea how someone even goes about awakening their devil fruit in the first place. From what we've seen with Paramecia, both current examples of awakening were able to change the surrounding environment into the substance that they can produce from their own bodies, and further manipulate the transformed environment, making their abilities seem much more like a Logia in comparison. And when it comes to Zoans, the awakened Zoan user appears to transform into a
I would say more like a Bankai. It's not necessarily Super Saiyan.
But at the cost
I would say more like a Bankai, because Saiyan's hair only changes. It's not changing their physical appearance. Like Bankais are either change change their appearance, like in the sword. Bankais change either the environment or the physical shape of a sword. So I would consider, awakened devil fruits, kind of like Bankais in that aspect, like just like Bankai. I say the devil fruits are like Jinchurikis. The devil powers are like I would say the devil fruits are like Jinchurikis based on how after the user dies. I would say the devil fruit powers, I would call that more like Shikai, or sort of like a physical manifestation. It's just probably like, oh, it doesn't? Oh, okay. All right. That ruins that theory. I was just trying to sound smart for a second. Thank you, major players. But I would say Devil Fruit Awakening, definitely Bankai.
From what we've learned from Blueno's statement to Jabra, Grand Line scientists have experimented with the effects of eating 2 devil fruits in the past, and doing so results in the individual's body destroying itself from the inside, to the point where their own body will explode.
I thought about that at the beginning of the video. I thought Luffy's gear was more of a him eating another devil fruit on top of the one he had. So that debunks that theory.
He even commented that it's enough of a risk to eat just 1 devil fruit, and eating 2 is just asking for death. This rumor, or perhaps this evidence, has spread throughout the One Piece world, which is why no one that we know of has attempted to eat more than 1 fruit. That being said, somehow Blackbeard was able to consume 2 devil fruits and harness both respective abilities without his body exploding.
Wow.
We currently don't know how this is possible, if it has something to do with his original fruit, the Yami Yami no Mi, or something else entirely. Or maybe the research about 2 devil fruits causing you to explode just isn't true. Either way, Blackbeard seems to be the only exception to this rule thus far, and it's currently unknown if he's able to eat
this nigga here is Thanos and Darkseid.
Pretty much everything you'll need need to know about the general information of devil fruits. Obviously, there's some information that I left out, but it's a bit hard to touch upon everything in just one video. So if you guys learned something new, or you just gained a better understanding of devil fruits as a whole, well, be sure to drop a like. I would really appreciate it. Also, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next video. And like I said earlier, be sure to comment which individual devil fruits you would like to learn about next, since we're going to be covering a lot of them individually in a new series. If you can't get enough One Piece content, well, be sure to click here for the difference between Logia and Paramecia like I suggested earlier for even more helpful information. Otherwise, click here for the top 10 wasted devil fruits in One Piece. Or click here for 5 facts about the zombies from Thriller.
Oh, you think so?
Thanks for watching.
Somebody more annoying than Aizen? You know who was annoying to me? Naraku from Inuyasha. My niggas couldn't kill Naraku forever. I don't even know how Naraku died, but that nigga Naraku was serious. Like, I don't even know how. I need to go back and watch Inuyasha, but I don't even know how they killed Naraku. I know how he could be killed, but I don't know how.